Gladiator, Ridley Scott's epic from year 2000. It was shot Super 35, so not quite up there with the capabilities of full-frame anamorphic 35mm. It is, however, still very good. Right, the first thing I thought I ought to say about Gladiator is that there's clearly an influence from films of the past, and in particular the fall of the Roman Empire. This is the full feature on Super 8, a fantastic Super 8. This is a later Duran print rather than a Lone Wolf print, but nevertheless still excellent. This follows the same period in history, entirely fictional I believe, as is Gladiator, but follows the same period in history and tells the story of Commodus and his father, Marcus Aurelius. I think history was kinder to Commodus than either of these two films. But Gladiator stands on its own, and it was a massive undertaking at the time. With an estimated budget of $103 million, it took at the worldwide box office $465 million. It has a running time of 2 hours and 29 minutes, an aspect ratio approximately of 2.40 to 1, and comes with DTS X sound. Now, over the years, I've had quite a few people ask me to review this 4K disc. I think they were hoping I was going to be really impressed with it. Indeed, I am really impressed with it. However, just prior to watching this, I'd been watching Alien on my new FP20 35mm projector. So I watched Alien on 2 big reels. I was engrossed in it so much I didn't actually get any shots of those big reels running, but hopefully I've got shots of The Fifth Element running on 35mm to give you an idea, because it is engrossing when you've got a 35mm projector running in your home. You've got all those moving parts, just lovely to look at. But the imagery from this 35mm projector, even though I've only got an HID 150 lamp in it, it does look exceptionally good. It's so natural. And in here, Alien at 9 feet wide, I have to mask a bit off on the far side, but it looked exceptional. And then that night we watched Gladiator on 4K, and to me this wasn't as impressive. However, that's a home video projector. What would it look like on, say, the 2K projector at the Hereford Courtyard, their recent purchase, where everything seemed to look fabulous, and indeed the 4K projector at the BFI IMAX. So I think I'm doing it an injustice. I think this 4K is even better than I think. I put it on my television this morning and it looks sharp as tack. Really good definition, great colour, just like the film prints, and overall hugely impressive. So maybe better on most televisions than it is in here at 10 feet wide, but it was still hugely impactful, and it did take me back to that fabulous screening at the Empire all those years ago. Considering its Super 35 origination, this does look impressive. Some of the full CGI shots look quite poor, but that's fairly normal given their lower quality origins. Super 35 is preferred for CGI work as it eliminates the distortions of an anamorphic lens and the lower quality of Super 35 compared to full frame anamorphic. That does mean the CGI doesn't stand out quite so much. Along with the 4K in this pack, there are 2 Blu-rays. One has got the film on it, the other has got a load of extra features. Now, the Blu-ray, probably in isolation in its day, people would have thought this was excellent. Enhanced, boosted colours, for me, completely destroy the film. The colours are just not accurate at all, too bright, and it looks awful. In fact, I would go so far to say, and I did actually run upstairs and get this, the DVD to me looks better. Okay, it's not as sharp as the Blu-ray, but the colours are far more accurate. Everything about it is far more accurate and a better representation of what Gladiator was in the cinema. This has got a lot of extras on it, and I'm not sure how many are on this extras on the Blu-ray, but not all of them I don't think, but I don't feel that I want to watch all the extras on here just yet, given that it was only a few years ago I probably went through them all on here. So for me, if you don't have the Blu-ray, you're on the fence about the 4K, maybe go to a charity shop or CEX, see if you can find the DVD and see what you think of that. But it's a very good DVD and looks marvellous in here, 10 feet wide. So not a patch on the 4K, of course. The I say not a patch, but does compare surprisingly well to the 4K, but nevertheless the 4K is of course the preferred choice for anyone who's into films, and particularly Gladiator. I think this 4K is a good representation of the master print I saw at the Empire Leicester Square all those years ago, and Keith Wilton joined me for that show. What that man doesn't know about films isn't worth knowing, but he liked Gladiator so much he tracked down his own 35mm print sometime afterwards. That print was used to master a couple of Super 8 extracts, and I had the job of reviewing the first, within which I mentioned our trip to see the film together at the Empire, and now here I am reviewing the film once again and talking about that Empire trip. Sadly, that spectacular cinema no longer exists other than the small back section of the auditorium, but I expect that's still an impressive place to see a film. Yes, so I think Gladiator is another Ridley Scott masterpiece, and he was sold on making the film when he was shown the painting Police Verso. Never forgotten Ridley Scott detailing all about that story, first seeing Police Verso in the book on the making of the film. And at the back of this are the complete credits. And among the credits is a company called Mill Film at Shepperton. Now, interestingly, while I was preparing for this, I found this film can from Mill Film, and these are rushes sent to one of the studios on Kodak print stock. But I just thought that was interesting, that this is how things were done, and on a daily basis the rushes, because they were rush jobs, they come back into the studios so the people making the film could see how well things were going, if they needed reshoots or to rejig the budget or the shooting schedule, all that sort of thing. How interesting it must have been to be sat in that preview theatre with Ridley Scott as the rushes came in, or indeed while he was out on location. I wonder how they did that at the time, but presumably someone was around with a 35mm projector. Now then, I thought I'd try and make some sense of the Super 35 format. This is a 1:8:5:1 aperture plate for the FP20 projector. This one's actually got a 1:8:5:1 on it as well. Noel Pratt made me this when he gave me the projector. But it's also got a full frame in here for anamorphic films, or indeed older full frame 35mm. To understand Gladiator, you really have to see some of the 35, Super 35 original, and the trailer was issued, well, with the original frame on it, not Super 35, which goes from sprocket to sprocket, no room left for the soundtrack, and that's why it's Super 35, filling the entire width of the area of the film. But the trailer went out full frame, and here it is. I thought I'd show this for illustrative purposes, so keep a lookout for all the nonsense going on at the top of the frame, including the boom microphone in this particular shot. So for those of you that really get fastidious about wanting to see their home videos in the unmasked open matte format, think again. So to summarise, another great Ridley Scott film. It looks great on 4K UHD disc, it sounds fantastic, it's just like seeing Gladiator at a premiere theatre again, so highly recommended. How can you ever surpass it? Of course, he has just completed Gladiator 2, so we'll have to wait and see how that turns out, but I get sort of frightened of excessive CGI these days, but nevertheless a great filmmaker, and let's hope he's hit the top spot again with Gladiator 2. Now recently, I mentioned in the First Blood review that I did, I mentioned Spoolbox, Fred Fullerton's channel. Fred was the chief at the Empire, was probably on duty when I went to see Gladiator, and anyone else out there who went to see Gladiator, chances are Fred would have been on duty, maybe a couple of them on duty. What a shame we don't have traditional cinemas like that available to us any longer, but the Odeon Leicester Square is still standing, even if it's lost its cinema seating. But Spoolbox, for the ultimate cinema archive, I think that is the channel to subscribe to. He filmed all those cinemas in the 1990s and early 2000s. I don't think there's another video archive like it in the world, so get over there and maybe give Fred a bit of a boost with a subscription and watch some of his great videos. Some are quite extensive, quite detailed, but they're all worth watching. Right, I think that brings us to the end. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and perhaps consider subscribing, so I'll be encouraged to carry on creating similar content to this in the future. Until the next one, bye bye for now.